Hey everyone, John Lorden here. Welcome to another episode of Case Cracked. You know, in many missing person cases that I cover, there's an element of sometimes a vehicle being missing along with the person. And those really give me a good brain scratch because I'm typically wondering what happened to the vehicle. Some modern vehicles are able to be traced because of technology that's built into them. And while you might be able to get rid of a body, getting rid of a vehicle is a whole different thing. And of course, sometimes theories about chop shops and other things come into play. But what if you had a person that went missing with an entire semi-truck? That's the case we're talking about. Today, we are reviewing the case of the missing man and his semi. Jacob Cartwright was 22 years old and lived in La Grande, Oregon with his wife and two young children. His wife was also expecting their third. Just east of the Blue Mountains, La Grande is known as the hub of Northeast Oregon and lies almost directly in the middle of the state. It was also a waypoint on the Oregon Trail, the large wheel wagon route that connected the Missouri River to Oregon, heavily used in the 1800s. Jacob was a big man, standing 6 foot 6 inches tall and weighing about 275 pounds. He worked as a truck driver for Little Trees Transportation and was currently driving a 2005 Kenworth truck pulling a semi-trailer. He was in the middle of a 400-hour trip and was getting close to home. He was scheduled to arrive in La Grande for a refuel on Tuesday night, but he wouldn't show up. Jacob had a cell phone, but when it was called, no one would answer. This might be understandable, as his job would sometimes take him into territory with bad cell phone coverage, but missing a refueling stop immediately set off alarms for his employer. The truck did have a GPS system, and that was used to trace its last known location to Highway 244, just a bit west of Jacob's hometown. The area is remote, heavily wooded, and known for its rough terrain. It was also still snowy from a lingering winter. Oregon State Police checked the area but found no sign of Jacob or his truck. They also sent up aircraft to search the area, but unfortunately they also came back with nothing. Media started spreading the word about his disappearance. Several people tweeted me about the mystery of the missing man and the semi-truck that disappeared with him. For several days his wife worried, not knowing if she would ever see her husband again. She had no idea of what her husband was enduring to try to get home to his family. Stuck on a Forest Service road due to a GPS problem, Jacob decided to leave his truck behind and try to hike his way out to find help. His cell phone was out of coverage, and the battery was quickly draining. He headed out into the cold with only a few bottles of water that he quickly went through, and no jacket. At night, he would make a bed out of pine needles or find a log to curl up under, and he would use his hat and his hands to create a pocket of warmth from his breath to keep his face from freezing. He had no way of starting a fire. Everything was soaking wet. When daylight would arrive, he would continue walking through snow patches and wet terrain in his cowboy boots. He even ate some of the snow to keep him hydrated. His phone battery died before he can get to an area with cell phone service. 4 days, 5,000 feet of elevation, and over 14 miles on foot later, he flagged down a car near his hometown of La Grande. The driver took him straight home. His wife wasn't there. She was actually at a meeting with local officials discussing the search for her husband. When she came home, she found him there in his flip-flops. She hugged him and told him that she thought he was dead. Jacob was disoriented and confused. He told his wife that his body was hurting real bad and he was freezing. He just couldn't get warm. She took him to the hospital for evaluation. He was found to be in fair condition. Roy Henry, that's Jacob's boss, said that Jacob must have accidentally entered the wrong address into his GPS system, and that took him on a wrong turn. Jacob figured out that he was going the wrong way and punched in the correct address into the GPS system. The GPS then recalculated a new route for him, and that's when it directed him onto a Forest Service road. Eventually, the GPS lost its signal, and the truck got stuck on the narrow road. Roy says it was a simple human error, and Jacob would indeed get to keep his job. Roy was actually very clear that the shipment and the truck were insured, but Jacob's life was the most important thing that no amount of money could make up for. State police eventually do find Jacob's truck about 21 miles away from that last GPS signal, stuck on a steep embankment on that Forest Service road. Not one single potato chip was missing. Despite having no food and minimal water, Jacob didn't even consider eating any of the potato chips in his shipment. When asked by his boss, Roy Henry, about it, Jacob simply replied, "That's worth money." In an interview with KGW8, he said, "I'm not going to touch someone else's product. To me, that's stealing." The following is a statement from Jacob Cartwright's family. On behalf of our whole family, we would like to thank everyone for all their efforts, encouragement, and hard work to help us bring Jacob home. The response of love and concern has been so incredible from across the entire U.S. We are so happy and relieved to have Jacob back and recuperating. At this time, we ask for our privacy as we transition back into our everyday lives. Thanks again to everyone. Jacob made his own statement to a reporter about his whole ordeal. "What don't kill you makes you stronger," Cartwright told reporters as he showed them a tattoo with that message etched into his forearm from his hospital bed. Case cracked. I just wanted to share this one with you guys because I watched it when it was going down. I was tracking it, thinking that I was probably going to cover it on Searchlight. Thankfully, this is one of those that got solved within a week. And I tend to do that with Searchlight cases, is really wait a week before I report on them, because we all know the statistic, like 99% of these cases are solved within 3 days. This is one that actually pushed to a 4th day. And it was just very strange right on the outset because you had this entire semi-truck missing, and just with modern technology, it really didn't make sense to me. I figure that most trucking companies out there are going to have some way to track their assets. And I know that they're also tracking these trucks for all kinds of different things, making sure the driver isn't speeding, and that they're taking roads they're supposed to and all that. So it was just a really odd case to me. And then to hear that, state police are out there looking and they can't find this truck. And originally I thought maybe there was a good chance that, he had slid off a road or something along those lines. But you would hope that you'd be able to see that, maybe trees that had been knocked down or foliage that showed that a vehicle had veered off the road there. But you have the state police coming up empty. It was really, really an interesting case right on the outset. But I'm really thankful that it is a case that has concluded, a case that has a happy ending. That's part of the reason why I want to do this show, Case Cracked, because I want to remind all of us, I know we look into a lot of heavy and sometimes dark stories here on the channel. And in particular with Searchlight, a lot of those cases don't have the best outcomes. This is a case that if it would have gone on a little longer, I definitely would have covered, but thankfully has a really good outcome. So just wanted to share that with all you guys today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I really appreciate you. I hope you'll come back to the Lord and Arch channel for more tomorrow. Have a great day, and I'll see you there.